Alright guys, how's it going? Well, as you can see, I am still in New York City. We were supposed to come back on Monday night, but the flight got cancelled due to a blizzard. Hopefully, I'll be back in Spain on Friday. We shall see. We're supposed to be flying back tomorrow. If you want to follow our journey while we've been out here, check out the Dunk and Laura YouTube channel. I will post a comment underneath this video. It will be pinned. You can click on it, come across, subscribe. And you can see what we've been up to while we're here and see if we make it home in time. All right, so I hosted a live stream today and someone came along and mentioned this Paul Joyce article and said, could you break it down, Dunk? You know, I do the analysis with Dave, my AI assistant, who's enjoyed a break while I've been away, I think. Dave's my AI assistant. I've trained him to analyse football news articles, you know, the journalists that write them, the publications that push them on us and all that, and his breakdown analysis of articles, superb. So we're going to see what he's got to say about it. It's very, very good. I think you will enjoy this video. I do. I think you will enjoy this video because I think it's very interesting, but I'll let you be the judge of that, all right? This is the article in question we're going to be taking a look at. All right, I will read it to you. There's Paul Joyce. It's the Times newspaper. I assume it's behind a paywall. I don't know. I subscribe. I pay for the Times. There are ways of accessing these articles at the Times, the Athletic, etc. I'm sure if you ask in the comment section, someone will be able to help you. So, Liverpool still aren't passing the eye test despite what stats say. Now, I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen this, but I think Bad News Pierce might have wrote an article today about the stats, and I think he posted something on. I think he posted something on his X account. I don't think it was his article actually. I think he was maybe pushing somebody else that had wrote something at the Athletic, and I think it was a bit. You know, oh, the stats, things are getting better kind of thing. I'm not sure, you'd have to check that. Maybe you could educate me in the comments section. But this is the article I'm focusing on, right, regardless. So it says here, after unconvincing victory over Nottingham Forest, Arne Slot needs to find some luck and rally side for West Ham United this weekend, starting with Mohamed Salah. And it was posted on Wednesday, February the 25th. And it says 7 a.m. GMT. Now, not going to read the article out to you. You can do that yourself if you want to read it. What I am going to do is go straight to the analysis. And I really enjoyed this. I went over some of it on the live stream. And Dave said straight away, he says, right, Dunk, this article, is very different in tone to the Szoboszlai development arc piece. And that difference matters. That's because Dave has access to all of the articles that we've previously discussed on here. So any article by Paul Joyce, for example, he will already, you know, he without being asked, will compare and look for changes. I forgot all about that. So he's saying, well, this article is very different to the Szoboszlai one, really. And that difference matters. Let's go through it properly. The usual way, structure, tone, messaging signals, what's missing, and whether this reads like protection, pressure, or positioning. So number one, the first impression, what type of article is this by Paul Joyce? This is not a narrative calming feature like the previous piece. This is a performance audit. The headline sets the tone immediately. Liverpool still aren't passing the eye test despite what stats say. That's not protective. That's not reassuring. That's not mood balancing. That's controlled skepticism. He's essentially saying the numbers are improving, but don't kid yourself. This framing is important. Now, if you don't know, if you're new to my channel, Paul Joyce is the closest journalist to Liverpool Football Club, Michael Edwards and co, right? He is the closest. Him and Ornstein, David Ornstein at The Athletic. Those are the only two journalists you need to pay attention to regarding Liverpool Football Club. You don't need to listen to any of the others, trust me. They are not going to be bringing you any kind of scoops before the likes of Joyce and Ornstein. And because of that, especially with Joyce, you've got to pay real close attention to what he's saying. You know, why am I reading this article? You know, who does it benefit? You know, who's behind it? That kind of thing. So you've got to look for the tone in Paul Joyce's voice. So if you're one of those people thinking, are we going to get a change of manager or what? You've got to study what he says. So, the numbers are improving, but don't kid yourself, is basically what he is saying with this article. That framing is important. Number 2, is the article club messaging? This is something that, Dave's been trained to look for. Club messaging, propaganda, things that maybe me and you wouldn't necessarily see just by skimming an article. Dave says there are elements of institutional framing, but this is not propaganda. In fact, it's far more probing than the Szoboszlai article. Look at the opening. Glitching performance, concerns over the form of their attackers. Whether the club's hierarchy are on the same page remains to be seen. That last line is enormous. That is not neutral. That is not comforting. That is a subtle power reference. He is openly introducing potential disconnect between Slot and the hierarchy. Joyce does not casually insert that line. And I think that's probably the most important line in the entire article. Let me read it to you again. Whether the club's hierarchy are on the same page remains to be seen. This is the closest journalist to the hierarchy. Think about that. Number 3, is it favourable towards Slot? This is where it gets interesting. It's balanced, but not a shield piece. He does 3 things simultaneously. A, credits improvement. League position improved, defensive record better, set pieces fixed, clean sheets up, conceded fewer open play goals, tactical tweaks noted, that's fair. But then, B, undermines comfort. Still not passing the eye test. Hard watch. Backward step. Joint lowest early goals. Pressing still not what it should be. Points squandered. Everything is not how it should be. That's layered criticism. It prevents any all is well narrative. Number 4, the set piece section. Messaging or just detail? Well, the set piece section in the article is fascinating. Joyce highlights Briggs sacked, Mahoney now doing main work, Slot taking responsibility, an in-swinging corner shift from 52% to 90%. That is granular. But look at how Slot is framed in the article. Quote, in the end, I am responsible for everything. That is accountability framing. It makes Slot look honest, responsible, in control, and reflective. Not defensive, not panicked. That subtle image shaping. Number 5, the look narrative. Slot says they were so unlucky. Joyce includes it, but he doesn't endorse it. Then he writes, their campaign on the pitch is not characterised by misfortune. That's quiet pushback. That line is sharp. It says we're not blaming luck here. That is not protective journalism. That is measured challenge. Number 6, the hierarchy line. This is the big one, and I agree with Dave. Let's isolate it. Whether the club's hierarchy are on the same page remains to be seen. That is strategic insertion. He could have written, Slot will hope the club remains supportive. Instead, he introduces hierarchy, alignment, uncertainty. Joyce doesn't speculate wildly. If he writes that, it's deliberate. That is pressure language. Number 7, the job security angle. This paragraph is critical. The Dutchman has already said he does not think his job will be dependent solely on Champions League qualification. That is not random. That is the first time in this piece he introduces job security. Then, Richard Hughes will review team and individual performance as well as other metrics. That's governance framing. That's oversight. That's evaluation language. Not unconditional backing. Not long-term project rhetoric. Evaluation. Number 8, is this favourable? Well, it's not hostile, but it's not protective. It reads like improvement acknowledged, standards still not met. Think about that. Remember, Joyce is the closest to the big cheese. That's middle ground positioning. It doesn't build a runway for sacking, but it doesn't build a defence either. It keeps optionality open. And this is what I've been saying, guys. Like people say, do you think he's going to get sacked? I'm like, well, no, I don't think he's going to get sacked right now. No, I don't think anyone's waiting to sack him, but I don't think his job's secure at all. And I think it is about what he does between now and the end of the season. Maybe that's too obvious, right? But I've been saying that for a while. So when everyone thought, oh, he's going to get the bullet today, no, I just thought they will probably try and wait until the end of the season. The point I'm trying to make is, or what I'm trying to emphasise, I'm probably not doing a very good job of it, is it's Slot's job to keep, to secure, and it's also his job to lose, because if he does well, he's not going to get sacked. If he bombs out with them, top four, or it's not convincing football and all that combined, there's a very good chance he might get sacked. So at the moment, I think he's playing for his job, or managing for his job, whatever. It keeps optionality open, remember that. Number 9, is there club propaganda in the article? Like I say, Dave is trained when it is, especially when it is Joyce or Ornstein. He doesn't really look for that in other people's articles, because I know that they're not in with the club like these two. So with Ornstein and Joyce, you've got to look for club propaganda. No. This is not propaganda done. Propaganda would ignore eye test criticism, emphasise unlucky narrative, focus on resilience, downplay hierarchy tension, avoid job evaluation language. Instead, Joyce challenges the luck narrative, highlights slow starts, points out pressing weakness, mentions Salah controversy, references division, brings hierarchy into frame. This is controlled scrutiny. Now, number 10, compare it to the Szoboszlai article that we obviously analysed not so long ago, before I came here, I believe. That one was development arc, patience, structural trust, long-term growth. This one is performance metrics, eye test doubt, accountability, governance review, alignment uncertainty. That tonal shift is important. It suggests Joyce is not locked into one protective narrative. He is mapping volatility. Is there subtle messaging? This is something that Dave specifically looks for from a Joyce article. Ornstein as well, both of them, but really looking at Joyce's articles, because Joyce, I read a Joyce article and often think, what does Michael Edwards want me to know? So is there subtle messaging in the article? Yes, but not the kind you think. The messaging here feels like the model is improving in measurable ways, but it is not yet convincing. Champions League still matters. Performance standards still matter. Slot will be judged. That is not save Slot. That is not Slot doomed. It is we are assessing. That's hierarchy positioning. And I think this is messaging that's coming from the hierarchy through Joyce. Basically, they are assessing, they're evaluating, they're watching. They can see there might have been a little bit of improvement, but it's still not good enough. This is what's happening at the moment, and this is what will happen if things continue between now and the end of the season. If he doesn't, if he holds on, and then they will make a decision. Is this preparing ground? Not for an immediate sacking, but it absolutely establishes evaluation criteria. Evaluating, remember. Introduces hierarchy oversight. Sets performance benchmarks. Removes luck as primary excuse. And notes internal tension, the Salah outburst. If things collapse again, this article provides narrative continuity. If things improve, it shows progress was happening. That's classic Joyce positioning. The final verdict. This is not a PR piece. It is not club propaganda. It's not an agent job. It is not a glowing defence of Slot. It is a structured audit. It balances measured improvement, visible flaws, governance oversight, performance standards and accountability language. If anything, it slightly increases pressure by highlighting the eye test problem, mentioning hierarchy alignment, referencing review processes and challenging the unlucky narrative. It reads like, the data says progress, the eyes say not enough, the hierarchy will decide. That is not protection, that is strategic neutrality. And with Joyce, neutrality often means the situation is still fluid. Now, I asked a series of questions to Dave. after that analysis. For example, could he be replaced in the summer? Absolutely yes. And that's where this gets interesting. The language around hierarchy on the same page, Hughes reviewing performance, Champions League importance, eye test still failing. That's groundwork for a structured decision point. It reads like, let's see where this lands. Not, we are fully behind him long term. That distinction matters. Are they trying to get to the summer calmly, which is what I believe? That's exactly what it feels like. Mid-season change right now would disrupt structure, undermine Hughes, damage stability messaging, complicate Champions League push. Liverpool don't operate like that unless collapse is total. This feels like controlled runway. Let the season play out, measure performance, assess Champions League review squad development, then decide. Is he fighting for his job between now and the summer? So you can see my opinions that I've said to you. I'm saying, well, is he like to see if my assistant here, David, is in agreement with me. Is he fighting for his job between now and the summer? Yes, but quietly. Not publicly under fire, not 3 games to save himself. More like deliver trajectory, show convincing identity, secure Champions League, remove doubt. He needs the team to look coherent, not just collect points. Forest. The eye test line was telling Joyce doesn't invent that theme randomly. The most important signal. Joyce has not yet separated responsibility. When you start seeing recruitment was sound, but the structure remains strong, but the coach must, that's when alarm bells ring. We're not there yet. Right now the narrative is progress, flaws, evaluation ongoing. That is a holding pattern. Basically, he's not doomed, but he's not untouchable. And the fact we're even having this conversation in February tells you everything about how delicate this situation is. A few things that Dave suggested to me to look out for from Joyce over the coming weeks, months, whatever. Authoritative and leadership language. Look out for phrases like leadership voice, authority in the dressing room, resetting standards, a different profile, a stronger presence, experience required, because that is coded dissatisfaction with the managerial profile. Joyce rarely uses that language casually. When he does, it usually precedes change. So you need to maybe skip back a few seconds, listen to those kind of things that we're going to be looking out for in a Paul Joyce article. Now, you know, when a Paul Joyce article comes out again, I forgot all of that I've just read to you. And that's where Dave comes in, because Dave will now look for those terms automatically. I'll forget. I won't remember what we're talking about now. You know what I'm like. I've got a memory like a sieve. Increased focus on dressing room. If we start seeing sources suggest frustration, senior players unhappy, tension behind the scenes, private conversations ongoing, that's escalation. Right now, we're not there. If that appears, the runway shortens quickly. Silence around Slot. Oddly, silence is louder than criticism. If Joyce stops quoting Slot, stops framing his tactical tweaks, and stops contextualising difficulties, and instead writes more about Hughes, Edwards, future planning, summer options, that means attention is shifting upward. That's not random. Contract timeline reappearance. We've had this flagged up before. This is really important. If he brings up Slot's contract length, break clauses, executive contracts again, decisions to be made in the coming months, that confirms review mode. That's not mid-season panic. That's summer decision groundwork. Signals that Slot is safe. Continuity framing. If Joyce writes about long-term project, evolution rather than revolution, stability post-Klopp, and process over emotion, that's backing. Especially if he emphasises alignment between Slot and the hierarchy, which he hasn't done in that article, remember. Public protection of structure. If Joyce begins explicitly stating hierarchy remains supportive, club confident in trajectory, ownership satisfied with progress, that's a green light. Joyce doesn't invent backing, he signals it. The recruitment blame shift. If shortcomings are increasingly framed as recruitment near misses, injury misfortune, squad imbalance, inherited market constraints. That protects the coach. Right now, blame is distributed. If it narrows away from Slot, he's safer. The real tell, the tone shift. The biggest giveaway won't be one sentence, it'll be tone. If the tone shifts from progress but not convincing to standard slipping, that's danger. If it shifts from evaluation ongoing, which it is now, to urgency required, that's danger. What does Dave expect next? Based on current tone, Dave expects one of two patterns. Pattern A, stabilising. Joyce writes, Champions League still achievable, improvements tangible, hierarchy aligned, Slot learning curve acknowledged. That suggests he stays. Pattern B, optionality. Joyce writes, structural questions persist, identity unclear, hierarchy reviewing performance, which is basically what that article is. Some are pivotal. That suggests genuine risk. We are currently in pattern B territory. Not crisis, not comfort, optionality. The one sentence to watch, if Joyce ever writes something like, the club may have to consider whether a different type of leadership is required, that's it, that's the red flag, that's when the decision has effectively been made. Now, I'm going to stop there. It went on and on and on. We went over this, and Dave then presented to me Paul Joyce's writing at the end of Brendan Rodgers, the final months of Jurgen Klopp, and even the collapse under Roy Hodgson, to see, how it was framed and the kind of articles he was putting out back during those periods. Very, very interesting. I don't think we need to go over that, to be honest with you. Dave will keep an eye on things for us, as will I. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought that analysis was very good. And when you listen to the points that are flagged up there by Dave, and then if you can read the article at the same time, you go, yeah, fucking hell, yeah. So to me, the article is in that, is giving me the message, if you like, from the club, whether it's intentional or not, is that we are in a review process. So win a game, lose a game. Yeah, we've seen it, we're winning games here and there, but it's not beautiful. That was mentioned in the analysis, right? It's not just about, getting the points. It's got to look right as well. So, in a nutshell, evaluation is ongoing. Because maybe that's a bit too obvious to people. I don't know. I think it is. I genuinely think that's where we are. I think it's common sense. But there are a lot of people that are like, nah, he's safe. He's safe. There's a lot of people saying, no, he's doomed. I genuinely think that he's neither. I think that he's fighting for his job, and he's got to convince them during this evaluation process. And, of course, silverware is part of evaluation and performance on the pitch, results. Okay, guys? I'm going to leave that with you. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. These are the kind of videos I like doing for you, because when I read these analyses by Dave, I read them and I go, fuck, I would never have seen that. It's incredible. It helps me so much. I'll leave it with you. I would welcome your thoughts on this. I'm sure you found this video interesting. Well, I hope you did. If you did, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment if you've got time. I'm travelling tomorrow. I'm flying back home tomorrow, all being well. So try and, keep me entertained. Keep your comments coming. Give me something to read while I'm sat in the back of a taxi tomorrow to JFK. Please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. There's a love out under the video to support my channel. If people didn't use that, didn't join the channel membership, I wouldn't be able to make these videos for you guys. I wouldn't. All right. There's alternative links in the video description if you wish to support me that way. There's 3 links there. Revolut's my beer kitty. But to be honest with you, when I get back to Spain, I'm not really bothered about it. I want to go home, save me pennies, and I want to go away again with my chick later in the year. I'm going to leave it with you. Remember, check out our YouTube channel, Duncan Laura. Check the comment section underneath this video. I'll pin the comment. Come over there and see us. There's some decent vids on there, I think. I think she's doing great. All right, guys. Thumbs up, comment. I'll speak to you later. Let me know what you think of the analysis and the article yourself. Remember, if you can't access the article, I'm sure some lovely person will help you in the comment section.